So the quote today was, "Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start." So it doesn't matter what happened to us yesterday. The most important thing is, what are we going to do about what we have today? So last week, do you guys remember what I talked about? Anybody here? Getting rich in real estate. Remember that part?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And specifically making $1 million a year selling houses, right?
Right.
Selling houses, making $1 million a year. We talked about it. We talked about how to do that, where you would work your past client sphere base, what to do, how to build on it, etc., etc. Okay? So that was your refresher of that. What I wanted to do, the second thing that agents ask me to talk about all the time, is when I'm now making a lot of money listing and selling real estate, what do I do with the money, and how do I parlay that money into something for my future, my family's future, etc. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Okay, so write this down. Getting rich in real estate. Making money in real estate is one thing. Getting and staying rich in real estate is another thing. If you recall, last week I talked about a system that you could do, which was email weekly, snail mail monthly, and make phone calls every other month, right?
Right.
And what was the reason most real estate agents won't do that? It wasn't sexy. It was. It's boring. It's crazy boring, okay? So most real estate agents, they want to do the newest, coolest, hottest kind of thing, and yet in real estate, in any wealth building, in any business building, who usually wins the day? The rabbit or the tortoise? The tortoise. Tortoise always wins over time.
Oh.
Do you get this? Over time. And that's what real estate is all about. It's the same thing with building your business, selling houses, building a foundation, and moving that foundation every day, every week, every month, every day, every week, every month. If you look at the top earners in our organization, agents that are making north of $700,000, north of $1 million, north of $1.5 million, in every single case, they're painfully, boringly consistent, aren't they? People I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about there. The same rule applies for making money in real estate. So I'm going to give you the formula, and I'm going to share this for you, and you could actually talk to your clients about getting involved in some kind of a formula like this. All right? But I'm going to give it to you first. All right? So here's the concept. I'm going to talk about single-family homes. I'm going to talk about 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family homes in decent neighborhoods and decent condition. But it doesn't have to be single-family homes. You could choose duplexes, you could choose fourplexes, you could choose 10-unit apartment buildings. So don't get stuck with, I don't want to do this. Think about the concept. You with me?
Yes.
All right. So here's the and I want you to turn off the I can't do this switch. Okay? Just like last week, we had to turn off the I can't do this, it doesn't work for me. I've tried this once. Turn off the I can't do this switch, this isn't going to work for me. And then you tune me out for the next 15 or 20 minutes. And then when you tune me out, you'll miss the idea that could catapult you over time to wealth and riches and security. And security for yourself and for your families. So, here's the formula. Every year, because I showed you how to list and sell real estate over here in high volume, every year you buy one single family home decent home, decent neighborhood, decent condition. You don't have to steal it. Don't have to. If you do, great, but you don't have to, because this is an overtime thing. The fact that you got it for $10,000 less than what's going on in the marketplace is a bonus, but the key is to get it, get into it, get the down payment into it, and start having the tenant pay off the mortgage. That's the key to this plan. Okay? You want it to break even. You don't want it to have a negative cash flow. So that means you need to put a minimum of probably 20% down, but maybe more like 25% down. So 25% down, 20% down on a $300,000 house is $60,000. Okay, Neil, where am I going to get the $60,000? Well, you have to look at last week's tape. Okay? I gave you that information last week. Remember? You guys remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so I taught you how to make money. Now I'm going to teach you what to do with the money. So, how many? So I get this occasionally where some agents say to me, yeah, but Neil, there aren't any $300,000 houses out there. Right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Right? Wrong. Before this meeting, you think this is the first meeting I ever walked into? Before this meeting, I had Millie pull a stat for me. The stat was, in the valley that is east of us, between here and Rialto, in Corona on this side, San Bernardino on this side, Chino and Chino Hills on this side, there were, well, you tell me, how many houses do you think were between 275 and 350?
85.
85, 100,
278.
278, how many? 200, 1,000, 175,
Around 500.
500. Would it shock any of you to know that the number is 2275?
Yes.
Does that include condos?
Yeah. 2275 that way, between 275 and 350 today. Oh, I guess tomorrow some of them could be sold, but maybe they'll list some others. So this plan could work. There are some $300,000 houses that you could buy. You guys with me on this?
Yes.
And if you put 20% down, it would cost you $60,000 as a down payment, and you'd get a loan for $240,000. Or if it was 25% down, it would cost you $75,000 to put down. Both of which are probably numbers that are kind of sound like they're big deals, but they're not big deals if you're on a plan to list and sell houses like we were talking about last week. They were doable number. Okay? You guys with me on this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is doable. There are houses, and there's a way for you to earn the money. So now, taking your hiding places away, aren't I? Okay? The I can'ts are starting to become, Neil, what are you doing here? You know, you're going to make this as a possibility, and then I might have to do this. I might have to go to work and actually do some of this so I can get some of that, so I can get this. Now, let me tell you what happens. In 2018, between now and the end of 2018, you buy your first house. You guys with me on this? And the goal is to buy one house a year for 15 years. Don't tell me you can't do it. Just buy what I'm selling right now. So, write down buy one house a year for 15 years. Okay? 2019, you do that. 2020 you buy one, 2021 you buy one, 2022 you buy one, and all the way out to, write this down, 2032. That's 15 years from now. Okay? You guys with me? That way, and you will have 15 houses purchased in 2032. Now, let's say you're 40 years old today. 15 years from now, you'll be 45 years old. If you're 40, 15 years, you'll be 55. What did I say?
You said 45.
I'm sorry, 50, I have 55 written down, I apologize. Okay, so you'll be 55 years old. Now, here's what I know for an absolute fact. In your 40s, you can't see 55. You can logically see it, you can add the numbers and see it, but you personally can't get into, I'm going to be 55
You
years
don't
old.
want to see it. I don't want to see it.
You don't want to see it. Okay, but that's a great point. No, it's a great point. And I was in the same place. In my 30s and 40s, I couldn't see my 50s and 60s. But here's a fact, and I don't mean to be morbid or anything about this. This is a fact. You're either going to be 55 or you're going to be dead.
Yes.
And it's an unfortunate reality. But when we have that reality in front of us, well, wait, I don't want to be 55 dead. I want to be 55 alive, excited, and full of energy, right?
Yes.
Does this make sense with you?
Yes.
Okay. So it's very, very, very hard in the 30s and 40s to see the 50s and 60s. But I'm telling you, if I could communicate anything at a high level, if I was a great salesperson that I think that I am, if I could somehow open your mind up to the fact you will be 55. Sandra, you will be, God willing. You will be 55, 65,
Yes, God
75, God willing. Because there is only one other option. And that one stops the clock, and that's no fun.
No, no fun.
Right? No fun.
There's nothing wrong with being in your 50s.
Or
Nothing-
60s.
Or 60s.
I don't have a problem.
But my point is, it's not about wrong, it's about seeing it.
Yes.
We
Seeing it.
can't see it. There's this thing, and boy, guys and gals in their 20s, if I could teach this to 20-year-olds, because this is about over time. This is about over time gaining the money. I did some of this in my 20s, a little bit of it in my 30s, a little bit more in my 40s, and pressed the pedal to the metal in my 50s. But had I done all this in my 20s, I love you guys, but I don't think I'd be standing here talking to you. Because if I have one regret, and I don't have many, my wife and I talk about this all the time, my one regret is we didn't buy enough real estate. And we did pretty well. And we have some great properties. We didn't buy enough. And enough would have only been 3 or 4 more. 3 or 4 more important properties over the last 25 years would have made a dramatic difference in where we are today. And where we are today is good. But not starting, not getting, not having, that's not an answer. Especially, we're in this business. We run by these properties all the time. Opportunities are in front of us all the time. And if you're making money over here, and you save a little bit of it, you can then buy some of these properties. So, what did I say? 2018, we're going to buy 1. 2019, we're going to buy 2. And so on to 2032. We own 15 properties. 2033, our first house pays off. Write that down. We are 56 years old. On your 56th birthday, your first house pays off. Again, you're either going to be 56 or not. My goal is to be 56. My goal's a little different today. My goal is to be 67. But you get what I'm saying, okay? Do you get that? Okay, so my first house pays off. I paid $300,000 for it, which I told you there's 2,200 properties right now that are between 275 and 350, so I use 300 as a number, okay? So instead of 2,200, maybe there's only 500 or 600 in the $300,000 range. Still a substantial amount. Got it? Okay, now, first house pays off. I paid $300,000 for it. Now let's assume 0 appreciation. Write that down. 0 appreciation. So we're not going to sit here and argue whether or not it went up 1%, 5%, 3%, 2%, 14%. We're not going to argue that at all. We're going to take the argument completely off the table and say it went up 0. So now, 15 years later, I now have a $300,000 free and clear asset. The $60,000 I put down, the tenant paid off the rest over 15 years. And now I have a free and clear asset for $300,000, and the $2,000 a month that I've been paying in, the tenant was paying me for rent that I turned around and paid for the payment, now comes to me in passive income. It's in my pocket. You guys get this? Now, I'm not going to go into the taxes and the insurance, et cetera, because the $2,000 a month I'm getting today isn't going to be $2,000 a month 15 years from now. The average that we're getting is a 3% a year bump on rent. Those of you that rent know what I'm talking about. Every single year they go up 3 to 4%. And you get nothing for it except a bump again next year. So that I, as the tenant, am getting this money over time. So I'm just going to, let's ease of this conversation. I got a $300,000 asset and $2,000 a month coming in as passive income. And now I'm 57 years old, another year goes by, and my second house pays off, and I now have, paid $300 for that one, is now worth $300,000 also. 2 houses, $300,000 each, now that's worth $600,000, true net equity, no argument. And I have $4,000 a month coming in as passive income. Pretty exciting, right? It's starting to be fun, right? So let's fast forward this 10 years. I'm now going to be 65 years old. Most of you know I'm 66, so it happens. Okay? It happens, and I'm in good health, and I'm having fun, and I'm enjoying myself, et cetera, a great life, great grandkids. You know, did I tell you Adam's having twins?
So you're not retiring anytime soon?
If I had no plans to retire. But if I had had plans, that screwed it up completely. Okay? Anyway, yeah, April.
Oh my God.
March or April, twins. We don't know, boys or girls.
Wow.
We'll know
So
soon.
Ollie's gonna have
Little Ollie's gonna have problems.
playmates.
It's gonna, 3 kids under 2. 2 and under. Okay, whole nother conversation. It's one of the other reasons I didn't buy enough real estate. Okay. Okay, so now, 10 years fast forward, and I'm now 65 years old. You're 65 years old. You were 40, 15 years. So, you were 55. Now that's 10 years. You're now 65. 65 years old. Remember, you're either going to be 65 or you're going to be what? Dead. Sorry, it's only 2 options. There isn't a third. I checked. I really researched this. Okay? Just the 2 options. So on my 65th birthday, your 65th birthday, your 10th house pays off. Each one was $300,000. You now have $3 million in true net equity. True net equity. I'll tell you a secret. You know they're going to go up in value. But we're not even counting them going up in value. And we were getting $2,000 a month rent for 10 properties are now coming into my pocket, and I now have a $20,000 a month passive income cash flow. You know what the really, really good news is, if that isn't enough? I have 5 houses that haven't paid off yet. Remember, I bought 15. This is only 10. Do you guys get this? Questions?
I didn't start yet, what do I do now?
Start. Start.
Never too late?
Never too late. Never, 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 never too late. Even if you only ended up having one house and you put this together and you ended up at 75 years old with one house paid off, one $300,000 house paid off with $2,000 a month coming in, is still better than any Social Security that you have.
Yeah.
Still better.
Depending on your age, you might not even get
You know, so I'll go into another thing in a minute. Any other questions on this? Why won't you do this?
Is this something you could keep in your own personal name, or do you have to go get LLC? Are these properties something you should keep in your own name, or create an LLC?
You could do either one, whatever your accountant suggests you do. You have to be really careful because sometimes we outsmart ourselves tax-wise, where we think we're doing a good tax thing for ourselves or our children, or we're going to put our kids' name on this. That's not the best advice, to put your kid's name on the properties when they're younger, because you are going to pass on. And when you do pass on, there's a stepped-up basis. I'm not going to get into this, but it can really screw up families. We're in a situation right now in Debbie's family. No, this is not Debbie's, this is a friend. Somebody made an error, and they did what they call generation skip. And when you generation skip, you trigger something else, meaning that, let's say I have plenty of money, and I don't want the money to, if the money goes to me and I die, I have to pay taxes on it. And my kids have to pay taxes on the money they get from me. You get it? So the government gets money twice. Okay, it's just, don't ask, it's a problem. So if I generation skip and I give the money directly to my children because I don't need it, that's fine, but the government has a penalty if it's over $2 million per kid. And this is what happened in one of the other families that we know, and they got hit with some pretty severe taxes because of it. So if you think, you gotta get tax advice on this. You must. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. All I do know is you gotta buy real estate. So that you can have those problems, so we can pay accountants to do whatever it is they do. Okay, that's a great question. All right, other questions on this? Why won't you do it?
Because you spend the money
money is
before we even get
prioritized
it.
elsewhere.
We do spend the money. We're very poor. Some of us are very poor at money management. We don't hold on to the money. Sorry?
No plans.
We don't have a plan for it. Well,
Right.
so last week I laid out a plan on how to earn it, and this week I laid out a plan on what to do with it. So we just got to get into action. There is a thought process. It's all or nothing. Either I do it all, what Neil suggests, or I'll do nothing. Okay? He says to do this, 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 and this. I'm only going to do this and this. So if I'm only going to do this and this, then forget it. I'm not going to do any of it. Please do not take that stand. Okay? In anything you do in life. Getting started is something. Door knocking is something. You know, I talked about this all the time, previewing property. I think you should preview 5 houses a day, 5 days a week, and you should do that for 2 or 3 years until you really know what's going on in the marketplace. You'll see 2,000 or 3,000 houses. If you saw 2,000 or 3,000 houses in your general marketplaces, how well would you know the markets? Pretty well, right? Okay. So then somebody says, well, if I can't do 5 a day, I'm not going to do any. Okay, don't do that. If you're do 2 a day. Do something. 2 is better than 0. You see what I'm saying? Same thing with scripts and dialogues. You say, well, if I can't learn a script every week, I can only do it every month, I'm not going to do it. Come on. If let me throw a thought at you. Let me just throw this thought. What if buying a house every year is way too aggressive? It's just, you cannot wrap your head around this. So you say, if I can't buy one a year, I'm not gonna buy any. So let me throw this thought at you. What if you bought one every other year in this formula? One every other year. So at the end of 15 years, so when I'm 55 when I'm 55 years old, my first house pays off, because I still had to buy one by, let's say, 2018, but I don't buy my second one until 2020. Do you get it? I skip a year. So instead of having 15 houses, how many will I have?
7.5.
7.5, 8 houses. 8 houses. If I have 8 houses, and they're all paid off, and I'm 65 or 70 years old, and they're all cost me $300,000 each, I would have how much? $2.4 million in true net equity when I'm 65 or 70 years old, and I would have $16,000 a month coming in as passive income. Okay, I failed, but at a pretty high level. To get my, and like we talked about this morning, falling forward, failing forward. Do you get it? What if you only did one every 3 years? You still would end up with 3 or 4 properties. I have a agency that I've been talking about this plan for years, and one of the agent teams years ago started on this, and they ended up buying 6 houses. That's all they bought. Very conservative couple, and they still own those 6 houses. They've owned these houses for 25 years, 30 years. They've been paid off for 30-something years. They bought them in Hacienda Heights, all 3-bedroom, 1-bath, near Hacienda and the freeway. You know, it's an okay neighborhood, but not spectacular. But they've owned these houses for 25 years. I think the most expensive one they paid $98,000 for.
Wow.
Now, what are those houses worth today? 400, 500, 600?
Close to 500.
Say 500. 6 houses is $3 million, and they've been paid off for
Wow.
at least 20 years, 15 years, let's say. Okay? But they only bought 6. That's all they were comfortable doing. It's all they could do mentally that they could get to. But they've owned these properties and have had a spectacular life for the last 20, 25 years off of these 6 properties and a few other dollars that they had put away. And their children are going to end up with these 6 properties, and if they don't screw it up, they'll take them for another 20 or 25 years. So not only what you're doing help you personally today and for the foreseeable future, but the actions you take today. Remember, I talk about this all the time. Today matters. But it may not matter for 20 years. And then in 20 years, because the reason you won't do this, it's boring. It's not sexy. I have to get up in the morning. I have to learn my scripts. I have to learn my dialogues. I have to make my prospecting calls. I have to go on a listing appointment. I have to take the listing and I have to sell the listing, and then I have to not spend all the money, okay? I can spend some of it, but I can't spend all of it. And I have to hold on to that until I raise $60,000 to $65,000. Then I have to go find a piece of property. And then I have to rent it out. I have to collect the rents. It's a lot of work. It is. It is not easy. And it's not that much fun sometimes. But then when you get to do your net worth, and you start looking at these on the paper, and you go, whoa, wow, wow.
So, let's say the market is eventually gonna go down, right?
Maybe, maybe not.
Should we wait for like another year or 2 to start at when the price goes down, or should we just buy now?
say buy when you can buy.
The numbers make sense.
Because this is a time issue. Look, you guys know my the Covina office?
Yes.
Covina office.
Yes.
In 2006 was not a great year for real estate, 2007, right? I bought that building in 2007. I paid $1.5 million for that building, okay? At the peak. And put money in over time. And the market went down. Okay, I put a good down payment, because I'm a conservative guy, so we put a good down payment so we're not strapped and we're not stressed. And the market did go down, Jack. I don't even know what it went down to because I didn't even look. I was afraid to look. I had no idea, because I wasn't selling. It didn't matter. Okay, I'm a buyer, not a seller in this particular case. And it went down. But has the market gone back up again? 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, it's up. I probably could get $2.5 million for that building today. I'm not selling it. So, do you get what I'm saying? It will go up and it will go down over any 15-year period of time. That will happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's over time that we're doing this. If you have the money and you have the wherewithal, I would get involved with it now. Now, there's a couple of caveats. I don't go further than I can drive for the properties. I don't want to go, I don't go to Texas. I don't go, well, I would go Rialto maybe. Rialto, not for a listing.
Look at who you were talking to there.
Not for a listing. But I would go to Rialto for a rental in a heartbeat. Sure. And maybe certain areas of San Bernardino and certain areas of, look, we have a property, well, we just recently sold it, but in Palm Springs. You know, we had a rental in the Palm Springs area. So, I mean, it's stuff. But I got to be able to drive to it. I don't want to get on an airplane and go to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's me.
I have a question going back to previewing properties. I always thought when you said preview properties would be the one that you're listing. So when you say preview properties, are you referring to just grabbing a couple of the MLS and?
There's a paragraph in the script for the pre-qualifying that says, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I preview properties. I study and
Homes and prices.
study homes and prices every day. Thank you guys. I study homes and prices every day, which includes what? Previewing property. So your job really is you should see, in my opinion, 5 houses every work day for 2, 3, 4 years. And if you look at any superstar, that's what they did. All of us, including myself, started in the business previewing property. I mean, I would see 20, 25 houses a week. Marty Rodriguez, 25, 30 houses a week. Neil Weichel, 30, 40 houses a week. Karen Bernardi, 25, 30 houses a week. All of us saw property because that's what, I don't know where it changed. But that's what we were taught to do back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. That's what we were taught. So that in any given market, we knew what was going on. For you to do that today takes years of seeing properties. We would, in a year or two, know the market. That make sense? Do you know today, I've shared this 1,000 times, I can drive in Hacienda Heights, that was my core area originally 40 years ago, 35 years ago. I can drive in Hacienda Heights, I'll go up and down the streets in Hacienda Heights, and not a new track area, but the stuff that's been around for 35, 40 years, and I can tell you what the floor plan looks like in every one of those properties. Now, obviously, if they remodeled it and they extended something, etc. But I can tell you what the floor plans are for most of the properties in Hacienda Heights today, 40 years later. You can't take that away from me. You can't take it away from you as a professional knowing what's going on in the market. Now, you as a buyer, wouldn't you be rather deal with me knowing what's going on in the market and having product knowledge rather than somebody else that has to, every time you ask them a question, they gotta look it up in the MLS or look at the pictures, and I know some agents are thinking, well, geez, there's 40 pictures in the MLS. I can do that in the MLS. No, you can't. No, you can't. Not one MLS picture, I'll bet. I can't guarantee it, but not one MLS picture shows the power lines in the backyard, do they? If they're there. Not one. Because nobody clicks that picture and says, "Psh, there it is." But if you have a client that doesn't want power lines, and you drive up and you don't know the streets, I knew the streets, so I would know there's power lines backing up to that. But today, you might not know that because you don't drive the streets. You drive up there and the client says, "Hey, I told you, anything but power lines." And there you drive up and the houses you're going to show them all have power lines because they're priced really well. And they're priced really well because of the power lines.
Confidence line.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Other questions on the subject of buying and selling houses and getting rich in real estate?
Here's a question.
I'm sorry.
What do you think about, like, how do you say it in English, sindicatos? Like, syndicate?
Syndications?
What do you think about that?
I'm not a good partner. Now, I have one. It's a very good friend of mine. Came to me and said, "I've got this amazing deal," and said, "I need $50,000 and you can be in the deal." And I happened to have an extra $50,000 and I liked the guy and I liked the deal, so I went into it. But 99% of everything I own, we don't have partners in. And I guarantee you, I don't think about that money, and that $50,000 is not part of my net worth because I could lose it. I'm not in control of it. Does that make sense?
Only
So-
because I'm one of the ones that don't have a lot of money, so I thought maybe I could start up with, a couple people and start in that.
Let me help
that
you.
way.
Take what I've taught, earn some more money, save it, go buy yourself a rental, yourself. Okay? It might take an extra year, but focus on that. I guarantee you that's the best advice you're gonna get. All right? Yeah, it might take a little longer. Maybe next year you'll pay a little bit more for property, because I don't think they're going down as much as I think over the next 15 years they're going up. I guess that's the question. Maybe in the next year or two it might go down. Might. I don't think so, but it might. But I guarantee you over the next 15 years, which way is it going up?
Is it going up?
Well, look at it. Look at it, and I'll leave you with this thought. I bought a piece of property in Rowland Heights. It's my favorite thing to talk about. The agents in my office, maybe I was the manager at the time, I don't remember. It's like goes back 40 years, 35 years ago. It's on Los Palacios, which is Fullerton and the freeway. Over here, 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Okay, Los Palacios. Not on the street, not backing up the freeway, so it's in a little bit, but it's still a kind of main street. I've owned it for, seems like the beginning of time. I overpaid $1,500 for that house. I paid $79,500 for a house that everybody laughed at me. They said it's $78,000 house. What are you doing? Thought you were smarter than that, Neil. You paid, I'm true, $1,500 more for that house because it had really good terms. I had a great VA loan on it, and I could go cash to the loan. I won't go into that, but I could do that. So I paid $1,500 more for that. How much is that house worth today? That house has been free and clear for 10 years. $450, something $450, something like that. I paid $1,500 more for that house. Okay, people laughed at me.
And rents are going up.
And rents didn't go down. Isn't that it? So you've got to make money, and we show you how every single day and you put together a couple more deals a year, and a couple more deals over 2 or 3 years will give you the $60,000 or $70,000 you need as a down payment. And then you go buy that piece of property. And you get the tenant to pay it off over the next 15 or 20 years. You get that? And then you do it again. And you do it a third time. And you do it a fourth time, whether it's every year or every 3 or 4 years, doesn't matter. I promise you, you'll come back to me, and every couple of years I get a phone call from the agents that had done this over the years and thank me. Hey, thanks. What are you up to? I'm in the airport leaving for someplace in Europe because I don't have to work.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's true, because I don't have to work, because I got $15,000 or $20,000 a month coming in on these stupid little houses. It's the truth. And you can start right now. So, and you have to start with the scripts and dialogues. So Kathy, let's get going. Thank you very much.